Alright lads, so announced this morning we have the return of MASAKI and ISSHIN 1000-year Blood War characters. This was expected, especially given the fact that the Nightmare Espada Guild quest did start today. And we also do want to use ISSHIN in slot 3 for the current Limbo Breaker quest, so it was expected these characters were going to return. But we are here to ask the question, are these characters worth summoning for? I'll say right from the get-go, especially if we have a look at the banner itself, which don't get me wrong, we've seen worse. I don't dislike the banner, but I think this banner ultimately just isn't really worth summoning on. One highlight, what we can see here is that Ichibe is finally a filler. This is the first time he has become a filler. And with him being in this banner, that therefore does mean that Kiryu, and most importantly Senjumaru, who's definitely aged the best out of these three characters, they will eventually become fillers. Maybe in the next rerun, or maybe even the next new 1000-year Blood War banner. Ichibe being here definitely adds value to this banner. But even with that, I feel like just given the current timing of this banner right now, it's really not worth summoning on. As we did mention in a video a couple of days ago, we are very likely to get the start of reruns for the anniversary characters. That includes part 1, Mugetsu, Kenpachi, and also Gremi. They're going to get Brave Fest banners. We're going to get post selection at the end of the year. Obviously, the end of year banner too, which usually is one of the bigger banners of the year. And then likely Toshiro, Sajin, and Soifon are going to return sometime soon, either this month or very early next month, December. And then we also have the end of month November banner. It's just there's so many big banners coming our way. We've just had massive banners this month, last month. Can anyone really scavenge up enough orbs to summon this banner? If you want to, and if you can, by all means go ahead, but I would recommend skip it. Ultimately, the reason for that is because, one, let's talk about Masaki. She's going to be your Range Espada Guild Quest lead, and we are going to showcase her later today. When it comes to the Range Espada Guild Quest, there's only really 2, maybe 3 good leads. Technically 4. Beyond Resurrection, Okura can be used here. He also now does require some duplicates to be a good lead. You technically can get away using Cacao Society Okura. He's a bit awkward though, given that he is a no-attack damage character. And in some cases, depending how many duplicates you get this character, you can use 9th Anniversary Kenpachi despite him being a melee Espada killer. Masaki is going to be the more conventional lead, and she plays a bit awkward, I will be honest. But that really only comes down to if you're trying to get a super fast clear time. If your goal is just to clear, she's going to help you with that. She has paralysis on all of her attacks with an increased chance to do so, and given the fact that SA2 is a barrage attack, very likely every time a new boss does spawn in, you are going to paralyze them, which is going to stop the enemies from attacking you, more so the bosses, and then therefore allow your teammates to do damage without the fear of them taking any damage. Masaki's summon also can apply automatic revival, so in the case your teammates do die, they'll just get back up. And in terms of damage output, I mean, Masaki has 20+2, a 60% berserker, an 80% SP boost upon inflicting a stat summon, and once you do apply a stat summon, in this case paralysis, you are then doing 80% more damage to these paralyzed enemies. So yeah, she's going to make for a very good lead in the Range Espada Guild quest. Her strong attack kit makes her awkward to play with, but that isn't going to stop you from clearing the quest if you do own her, especially if you do pair that with 2 other good normal attack damage characters. It may be worth mentioning that depending again on your duplicate investment on 9th Anniversary Kenpachi, he can be used in the Range Espada GQ. I've yet to test him out in the Range Espada Nightmare Guild quest. I doubt he'd be able to beat that, but you can unironically use him and even potentially score higher than Masaki in the very hard Nightmare Guild quest. So if you do have a really good 9th Anniversary Kenpachi, you might not even want to summon for Masaki right now. But if you do pull for her, she can make for a fun character if you don't mind her gameplay, but of course will be very good in the Range Espada Guild quest. Isshin is going to be the prize of the banner. He actually is a very fun character and someone I always like to use whenever I possibly can. The best way to describe Isshin is that he's an absolute damage dealer and is kind of the last of this type of character. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. So for starters, in terms of damage output, the character itself has Frenzy +2, a 120% spiritual pressure boost, and you also do have Rampage with a 50% berserker. The Rampage skill, for those that are new to the game, because we haven't seen it in quite some time, every time this character gets 1 kill, he gets 2% more damage. So after 50 kills, you have 100% more damage. That goes for your normal attacks, your soul bomb, and of course, your strong attacks. This allows him to hit very hard, and maybe one of the best parts about him is the fact that his increased stat summon chance to therefore get his 120% SP boost is to any hard character. Nowadays, and it's more so for guild quest content, every character that does have an increased chance is only against their killer. So when they don't have killer, they don't play as well. In Isshin's case, he really doesn't care about Killer. This therefore does mean he's a bit awkward to play with in Guild Quest content, but if you played him in Guild Quest, you'll notice that he's still very good. Even with no increased chance against all the enemies in Guild Quest content, he's still likely to inflict a status element because he does convey Track and Vortex SA2, and the two status elements that he can inflict, by the way, is Lacerate and also Burn, which is a very powerful combination, especially in content like Limit Breaker, where you always want to use this character. You can use him right now in slot 3, for example. And even though he's doing a ridiculous amount of damage himself, the Lacerate and Burn ticks can potentially take away millions of HP from the enemies if you are in those higher, later stages. Honestly, one of the better characters released this year. This character wasn't tied behind a big celebration, a big anniversary, but they made sure to make him an amazing character. And if you are an Isshin fan, I mean, this is probably the best character you can go for. Next up, we have Ichibe. Again, first time he is featured as a filler. He's a technique sword per Quincy killer, so 2 killers, double the usability. And I will be honest, he's a bit of an awkward character. I do like him, and I feel like he's a character that is better if you are a better player. You know where to use your strong attacks. If you can take the most out of his gauge effect, the character really will surprise you. However, at this point in time, I think many people will share the same opinion, is that his gameplay, just compared to some of the newer characters, it definitely leaves a bit more to be desired. The main reason for that is because his damage output is very low, Frenzy +1 and a 50% Berserker. However, when the gauge is full, and you activate the gauge, you then get an extra Frenzy +1, so Frenzy +2 overall, a 100% Berserker, strong attack damage increase, and also a 50% spiritual pressure boost. So when the gauge is active, he hits very hard. But that constant back and forth between having no damage to then having crazy damage maybe doesn't offer the most enjoyable gameplay. I think he's a fun unit, and I can make him work, but it definitely can be a bit off-putting if you're not used to that game style. To make the most out of his gauge effects, he does come with Gauge Rampage, so every kill that he does get, it fills up the gauge even more. So at that point, all you really have to do is use 2 strong attacks to then activate the gauge, and then most importantly, once you do activate the gauge, you will be reducing your strong attack cooldown by 30%. It's a must-have for any gauge character, and it's really good that he does have it, because then you get to make the most of that 10-second period when your damage output is very high. So yeah, really good damage potential, very fast character too, and his double killer means that he's a lot more usable. However, it's very common for people to pull this character and say that they don't like his gameplay, and that might be a reason for you to kind of skip this character if you do not own him. The killers in particular, Soiba and Quincy, have a lot of competition in the melee guild quests. So even for guild quest scores, while he can be used in 2 guild quests, there are better characters out there that can score higher than him. If you are an Ichibe fan and you don't like this character, there's definitely still more Ichibes to look forward to in the future, as we definitely are going to get a Futen, Tai Satsuryo, Ichibe likely sometime next year. Chad is going to be a brave battle character. His main goal in any team is to serve as the team booster, because upon using his SA2, he will give your team a 43% attack, focus, and also defense increase. Boost attacks in brave battles are very important, and that's really the only thing he has going for him. In terms of damage output, it's very low. He has Flurry +1 and 100% more damage to enemies that aren't inflicted by an element, and this doesn't really work too well. In brave battles, sure, it's not too bad. If you decide to take this character into guild quests, it's a bit annoying because his respective guild quest phase, you have true Shikai Ichigo, who's pretty much guaranteed to inflict status on it. So because of that, in guild quest content, his damage output is super low. In brave battle content, well, he doesn't have invincibility, he can't go for invincibility, so he's a very awkward character. Of course, though, he did have a rise in brave battle usage due to the fact that he was the only team booster that could get a boost off. However, now that Renji does exist, he can cancel out team boosts for power characters in particular, and that basically means that if you're going against a Renji, this character in brave battles is kind of pointless. You definitely still can make a use out of him in brave battles for any Renji-less teams, with the idea of making this character be a stall unit against Orihime. If you build him with full defense, give him enough dodge and damage reduction, you can still make him work, but his usability is definitely lessened with the introduction of Renji in brave battles. Yuabok is going to serve the same purpose. In brave battles, he is going to be a team supporter. By using that SA2, you're getting that 43% attack, focus, and also defense increase. Like Chad, this character's usability has been lessened with the fact that 9th Anniversary Sergeant does exist, and Sergeant in particular can cancel buffs from any hard character. However, with the amount of characters that you can use in Brave Battles right now, not every team is using a Sergeant. And when you aren't going against a Sergeant team, which surprisingly does happen a lot, this character can be used and will surprisingly be a good team supporter with the idea to use its SA2. So while it is true Sergeant introduction did hurt this character, not every team is using Sergeant. And that allows this character to be good once more because he does have a good damage output, flurry +2. The more enemies or allies that are defeated, he gets 20% more normal attack damage. And given that this character is now 2 years old, he will be featured quite often. If you don't get him now, you definitely will get him later on. And the more dupes of him, the better. You honestly can build him to be a defensive character, with the idea to take him out every now and then against any Sergeantless teams to be your dedicated team booster. I personally do it myself, and it honestly hasn't been too bad thus far. Tanjiro, quite the old character, can resurrect, so he does give you 75 additional orbs. Most importantly though, he's a really good link for any speed character, offering 12% recharge and also 20% more strong attack damage when at full stamina. When you do resurrect him, he has some potential usage, as he does give speed sweepers, 20% more strong attack damage, and also movement speeds. So if you do like to auto point event content with someone like Yashi, for example, if you want to make her be even a faster character, run through the field even faster, he might be a good character to put onto the team just for that team buff, but most importantly, he's one of the best links in the speed attribute. Nemu is another resurrectable character, does offer 75 additional orbs. As far as our soul trait does go, it's not that good. It's recharge and more damage to enemies not afflicted by an element. I very rarely ever use this link. You can use it, but it's definitely a very niche and situational link, and no character right now really benefits from it. A character you would use a lot, to be fair. Soifun, once more, is another resurrectable character, and at this point in time, she's still actually really good when it comes to Guild Quest content. She's actually a very enjoyable character outside of Guild Quest content, very unique SA2 that can transform her, good visuals to boot, can be used outside of Guild Quest, but realistically only wants to be used in Guild Quest. The reason for that is because she does get more damage upon resurrecting, but her SA2 is going to be a team boost, providing your team with a 43% attack, focus, and also defense increase, but more so the attack and focus increase. The immediate Aranka Guild Quest doesn't really have that many great characters for team boosters, and she's one of the better ones. Through the special move trial quest, you can get 2 special move levels, and her Max Transcendence would be a mainstay character in your team until we do get a new character to eventually replace her, which I'm sure will eventually happen. But considering the fact that this character came out during the 4th anniversary, she surprisingly has had a lot of usage over the last 4 years in the melee Aranka Guild Quest. Renji, another resurrectable character, so 75 more additional orbs. In this case, many a link, recharge, and more damage at full stamina. So yeah, like I mentioned, I don't dislike the banner. I like that Yuha is still here. He's still a decent character you can make work in Brave Battles. Chad has definitely fallen off a bit despite his comeback the last couple months. Ichibe hasn't aged the best, but it is nice he is a filler. And then I do like Tanjiro and also Soifun being featured here, because they aren't always featured. More so Soifun, because I've been wanting to get that final copy for a very long time, and I've yet to do that. In a vacuum, maybe this banner would be worth doing the discounts. Maybe it would be worth summoning on. But again, just given the time, a lot of big things are coming our way. I just don't think anyone can really afford to summon on this banner right now, unless you are a massive MASAKI ISSHIN fan. If you are, you already know what to do. The banner format itself is a normal format, right? So step 1, 6, 11, 16, 21 are discounted at 150 orbs. Step 2, 7, 12, 17, and 22 are discounted at 200 orbs. Every 5 steps guarantees you a featured character, and then if you do make it all the way to step 25, which I doubt anyone is going to do, at the very least you do get a guaranteed pity ticket where you can pick either MASAKI or ISSHIN. Unfortunately, while this banner is available, we won't know what mid-month is going to be, and while there's no guarantee mid-month is even better than these characters, I mean, ISSHIN is quite the insane character. You never know. You never know. Mid-month could be another 1000 Blood banner with exciting characters, maybe even good characters. I don't see these characters getting replaced anytime soon, but I feel like most people should be saving the orbs. If you're new, maybe do the discounts. If you can afford to do the discounts, go ahead and do it. But in my opinion, I think most people should pass this banner. But while we are here, before we end the video, I'm really hoping that Ichibe being in this banner means that we aren't getting a 1000 Blood banner at the end of the month. Because Ichibe, Senjumaru, and also Kiryu easily could have been fillers for end of month. But if we're not getting a 1000 Blood banner, maybe their plan is to split these characters up into any upcoming 1000 Blood rerun that will be happening over the next 3 or so weeks. I mean, I guess we'll find out in 3 weeks' time, but I really am hoping end of month is going to be a seasonal banner this time around. Maybe the voting banner that we voted for. And if it is that, well, those characters are probably going to be popular. I mean, after all, we voted for them, so chances are you might want that character, whoever may be in that banner. In the comments below, though, let me know if you plan to summon on this banner. If you are, good luck. I recommend skipping it, but I'm curious to know if you do have any plans to summon on this banner. Let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.